Since ancient times, people have always been afraid of monsters. Everywhere, a prosperous society needs a leader, so do Youkai. Rikuo is the next generation leader of the Nura clan, although he has to shoulder the responsibility of running the family. But the boy wasn't completely demonic, only at night he was in his demon form. During the day, from thoughts to forms, all are human. Rikuo goes to see Mr. Gyuki. He doesn't like serving the next ruler like Rikuo. He drew his sword and pressed it to his neck, ever since he knew he had demon blood. His goal is only one, leading the clan to become the most powerful. The next morning Rikuo gathered all the Youkai in the clan. He forbade them from going to school tonight. Rikuo then ran to the school, still in human form, so Rikuo was very afraid of Mr. Gyuki. Gyuki went to meet the Youkai leader Nura, who still made it clear that he didn't want to serve if Rikuo was the next leader. While Rikuo has gone to school, the group of friends discuss to explore the old building tonight. They don't believe that there are demons in this world, but Kyo's friend does. Rikuo didn't intend to go, but Hana insisted on going, so he went with him. In the evening, Rikuo asked him to go out. The commander reminded Rikuo about the inheritance. Rikuo is still very determined. He runs to find the group of friends. Even though he told everyone not to come here, Rikuo was still very uneasy. He went ahead to cover his friend Hana. The children saw the monster statue screaming. Rikuo went to check. He saw Youkai not from the Nura clan. Whenever the group of friends was about to do something, Rikuo checked first, thus preventing the Youkai from threatening them. But Rikuo felt that the situation was not good. Going forever without meeting Youkai, the group of friends planned to see the rest of this room and then return. In the right room, there was a battle demon. It flew out immediately. The two boys ran ahead to leave Hana and Rikuo behind, while Yuki's bodyguard Rikuo came to the rescue. In the clan meeting, the previous ruler ended the meeting with the family members. Their third-generation ruler will be his grandson Rikuo. Everyone was talking about doubting the boy's ability. He was too young to even refuse the inheritance. Bodyguard Yuki and Obuto destroy the demon that stands in the way of the young master. They took him out of this place immediately. Rikuo didn't know what they were doing here either. Yuki sneered 4 years ago the first time Rikuo transformed into a Youkai. They were always there to protect him. They will wait for one day Rikuo will stand up to rule the night demons. Rikuo shut up. He wanted to live like a human. When her friend Hana woke up, Yuki disappeared immediately. After Rikuo encourages Hana, there are no Youkai here, he takes her to his house. Yuki was sorry. If they had come a little later, they would have seen the young master awakening. Episode 2. That morning a very important guest came to the Nura family mansion. The governor personally greeted him. He was Zen, who ran a Yokai branch in the west. Now coming to visit Rikuo, he can't wait for the day Rikuo takes over as ruler of the third generation. Old Gyuki is irritated, but Zen doesn't care. By this time, Rikuo had just returned from school to find the group of Youkai eating expensive cakes. He rushed to grab his neck because he thought he was stealing from somewhere. The little monsters explained that Rikuo understood, but the mention of Zen made Rikuo scared. Rikuo entered the Zen room and waited. The Youkai were also hiding everywhere watching the conversation. Since childhood, Zen has always come here to take care of Rikuo. They are like siblings. Little Yuki brought the tea in and accidentally spilled it all over Rikuo's body. She quickly blew it to cool it down and then froze him. Zen angrily chased her away. Now only the two Zen people mentioned the family inheritance. Rikuo still holds the point of non-inheritance that drives Zen crazy. He unleashed a wind of feathers that made the Youkai run away. After that, Zen coughed and had to leave immediately. The bird Karasu explains to Rikuo. Zen is the leader of a small clan allied with the Nura clan. He is very strong and his life is very short, but Zen still tries to come here to meet Rikuo. Meanwhile Zen is on his way home. His squire Heb betrays him, intending to kill him. Rikuo had sensed this before. He regretted not chasing after Zen from the beginning. The Karasu bird led Zen to the shortcut to get there as quickly as possible. Heb and Zen once drank the cup of loyalty, but this Heb did not want to follow Zen anymore. That's why he will kill you here. Heb jumped up. The Karasu bird was able to stop him. This Heb is happy to be able to deal with Rikuo here as well. He jumped up again. Zen tried to stand up when Rikuo forced him to sit down. Rikuo transforms into Youkai form and then kills Heb. Zen was surprised by this form of Rikuo. He was too strong to be worthy of the title of third ruler. Zen wants to have a cup of wine with Rikuo. He is already weak, but to see Rikuo run the family he can't die now. Together they drained the sake cup with a vow that Rikuo would protect Zen. After Zen left, Rikuo called the bird Karasu to announce that he would become the third ruler. The Karasu bird is happy, but it knows that when morning comes, Rikuo will return to his human state. The next day Rikuo forgot to bring his bento to school, so his mother asked Yuki to bring it to him. Rikuo doesn't remember anything about yesterday, but when he meets Hana, he is happy. The friends ran over and tapped Rikuo on the shoulder teasingly and waited until Yuki arrived before they left. Yuki gave the young master the bento box, fearing that Hana would misunderstand Rikuo and lead Yuki away in a hurry. Hana really cares about this. That day, a girl transferred into Rikuo's class. Episode 3, that day at school, Kyo started talking about Youkai again. Suddenly, the newly transferred classmate Yura spoke up in the conversation. She knows so much about Youkai that even Rikuo is surprised. Kyo decides to form a demon hunting group that includes, of course, Hana and Rikuo. Rikuo was a bit surprised. Kyo continued. He announced that the group was officially formed and that they would hold a welcome party at Rikuo's house. Rikuo didn't want them to come to his house. Kyo was adamant. He heard that the surroundings of Rikuo's house were haunted. They'll go there and see what happens, and Hana agrees that the same goes for her new friend who just moved in. Rikuo wandered off and left, followed by his subordinates trying to encourage Rikuo. He saw that his new friend knew a lot about Youkai who were afraid of being discovered. When they got home, they saw that they were having a big party, and they decided to lose their loyalty to young master Rikuo. Rikuo asks them to escape immediately. Everyone is disappointed when they are having fun. Rikuo could only apologize to them. At this moment, the group of friends arrived, and as soon as they entered the house, Yura exclaimed something very strange. They were all admiring the ancient architecture of Rikuo's house. This made Yura even more suspicious of Youkai here. They entered the waiting room together. Kyo had just started his speech when the servant brought tea. Rikuo stood up for fear that Yura would find out. He chased her away and ran to tell the kitchen not to appear in front of his friends. He returned to the room and saw the group of friends disappeared. Yura led the group around the house. She could smell the strong demonic aura here. Rikuo tried to follow and advised them to go to the tea room. Kyo happily crawled into a room where Zen rested. Zen glared angrily, causing this guy to panic. They continued to walk around. This time Yura turned into the shrine room. There are so many golden Buddha statues here that make us all say that the Rikuo family is so rich. Rikuo shivered when he discovered that his subordinates were hiding in this statue, for fear that Yura would find out. She was about to touch her when Rikuo stopped her. At this moment, the arrival of the leader made Rikuo even more worried. However, his grandfather only smiled at them. She was about to leave the waiting room when a rat ran out. Yura immediately chased after her knowing it was a Youkai. Yura destroys it in the name of an exorcist. The whole group of friends was extremely surprised by this. She was sent here by her family to hunt down the Youkai ruler. Rikuo paled that things were getting harder and harder. The group left. Yuki and Okubo now dared to run out to find the young master. They also do not know when the mouse just entered the house. On the way back, the incident happened to Hana and Yura. A group of people appeared around them. They were all Youkai that scared Hana. And Yura wasn't afraid at all. She summoned the Shinigami to kill them all. Episode 4. Yura defeats the rats. The leader is surprised with her ability. However, he is still very confident. I was so busy paying attention to this guy that I forgot that Hana was still behind me. She was surrounded. The leader Kyuso asks Yura to stop summoning the Shinigami or he will kill her friend. Yura had no choice but to follow. Shinigami just disappeared when she was slapped and fainted. Meanwhile at Nura's house the Youkai are having a big party. Rumor has it that the Kyuso rat clansmen are rioting in the first quarter. They want to take this area from Ryoko's Beak clan. As expected, right now the Beak clan leader is being beaten. Rikuo sat dazedly in a corner. Suddenly a rat came running over. He introduced himself as a member of the Kyuso clan, reporting that his friend Rikuo was captured and he needed to be rescued immediately. Rikuo turned to call him when the rat stopped him. One of the subordinates heard it and ran after Rikuo. He had just arrived in front of the Kyuso clan gate and was taken inside to meet the leader. He gives Rikuo a chance to save you. Within this evening Rikuo must inform all the rulers across the country that he refuses to inherit the position of Third Lord. Rikuo was absent-mindedly leaving and accidentally met Ryoko, the leader of the Beak clan. He is being pursued and is seriously injured. Rikuo led him home. As for the leader of the other rat family, he had no intention of releasing the two girls. Yura has just regained consciousness. She angrily asks them to release her friend. Of course, the other rat did not agree. By this time, Rikuo had finished writing a letter of refusal to accept the position of third, thanks to the Karasu bird taking him around the country. Bird Karasu disagrees with this. Rikuo also has no way. At this moment, when his uncle walked in, he knew that the rats were rioting in the first block. He reminded Rikuo to consider it. He hesitated a bit, but there was no other way. Now that Mr. Ryota has regained consciousness, he feels that this is his responsibility. Although he was seriously injured, he still vowed to finish this case. Rikuo's subordinates ran over, and suddenly he felt his body heat up. Rikuo's Youkai form officially appeared. The rats now just wait until morning to eat the two girls. Yura was scared and couldn't do anything. Rikuo led the Youkai to break the door to the house of the rats. The 100 devils are here. Why is the rat a bit surprised, but he still tries to resist. His subordinates are dying continuously. Ryoto brother stops Rikuo from killing this guy that must be done by him. The giant rat man battled Ryoto-san. Rikuo just now took action. He only breathed out a breath of fire that was enough to kill the rat. At first he didn't intend to get involved in this case, but he made the mistake of targeting him. After they both left, Yura vowed to kill Rikuo the next time they met. Rikuo sneered at him, looking forward to the next time, and Hana, she had a feeling she had met this person somewhere. Episode 5. Yura apologizes to Hana for putting her in danger. Hana was afraid of Youkai at first, but after last night's incident, she no longer holds a grudge against them. As for Yura, it is different for you to save the humiliation of an onmyoji. The Kyo gathered everyone. He had something to discuss about his next demon hunting plan. Only now did Yuki realize that he had not seen a lack of owners since this morning. Rikuo is now lying in bed with a fever, and Zen brother comes to visit him. He recalled the fight last night. Rikuo didn't remember anything. Zen was a bit disappointed. He really wanted yesterday's Rikuo to be their third ruler. Yuki ran back sobbing as the maidservant for the young master, but she forgot her duty. Yuki ran to get the medicine right away, and Mr. Rikuo was holding a meeting. He consulted with Gyuki, who did not doubt Rikuo's ability. However, he can only become a Youkai 1/4 in a day. At this time, the group of friends come to visit Rikuo's house. Hana eagerly went to get the medicine and bumped into Yuki. Yuki was startled, trying to stay calm if she didn't freeze them all. Rikuo quickly released Yuki's siege. Kyo continued to announce his plan. They're going to study Youkai with an acquaintance of yours. Hana hesitates, but when she sees Yuki asking to go with Rikuo, she agrees. Karasu received orders from the chief to investigate the leaders. That night while packing, Hana wondered why she bothered when she saw that Yuki was close to Rikuo. Rikuo suddenly called Hana to ask about what girls need to bring when going on a picnic. Rikuo's mother helps Yuki prepare. She heard their destination was familiar but couldn't remember exactly where. The next day they all departed together. Sitting on the train they played cards together. Hana just stared at Yuki, who was close to Rikuo. When they arrived at the place they thought they could rest, but no, they still had to climb the towering mountain. Yura looked at her and didn't feel the demonic aura, but still had to be on guard. They all seemed to be exhausted when Hana discovered something. After looking at it for a while, it was a long-abandoned temple. We all ran over to see. Rikuo was not sure until now that there were some Youkai on this mountain. Suddenly a sound made them alert. One of the guys who came here was a professor who was an acquaintance of his friend Kyo. He led them all to the next leg, to an empty lot. The scene here is very scary. There are giant fangs that make them even more scared. Karasu has now finished investigating everything. Going out to drink tea with the commander, heard the news that the young master had come to that mountain, making Karasu choke on tea. He immediately brought someone to pick him up. The doctor leads them to the stone statue on the mountain, which is the residence of the cannibal demon. Everyone was in real danger. It was the family that led them here. Even Kyo's friend's professor is controlled by Youkai. Episode 6. Sensing the approaching danger. Rikuo asked them to come down the mountain immediately, but it was already dark. And even if I could get off, there would be no bus, only a way to keep going. Yura calms everyone down. If Youkai do appear, she will protect everyone. They are all so glad they will continue this journey. He wanted to invite the professor to join the fun, but he refused. His mission was only here. The Doctor of Control discovered that Ryuki's subordinate Okubo was also heading up here. He didn't know the way, so he pointed another way. He then gathered with his accomplices, whose first target was the bodyguard beside Rikuo, Yuki. Then it will be his turn. The third ruler will have to die here, which makes them very excited. They continued to the inn that the professor had arranged in advance. The place was very large, but Rikuo felt that something was wrong. While the group of girls were taking a bath, Kyo got into the mood to hunt Youkai. Rikuo tried to stop him but couldn't. Hana is taking a shower, but Yuki is nowhere to be seen. She thinks that Yuki is going with Rikuo, so she decides to follow along to see what their relationship is. The Nezo sent the Youkai to prepare to deal with the girls. Rikuo and the others entered the depths of the forest, the Gozo following them. Recalling what the leader Gyuki had told him, he considered it carefully. If Rikuo died here, the Gyuki family wouldn't escape responsibility, but if he still wanted to, Gozo would serve to the end. Meanwhile at the inn, Yura felt more and more that something was wrong. She heard the screams of her friends and ran to help. The Nezo attacked them, and Rikuo and the others went deeper and deeper into the forest. Yuki is on high alert to protect Rikuo, and Rikuo reminds her that if something happens to protect his friends first. The Gozo sneered and took care of himself first. He cast spells on 2 of his friends. Each of them split up and ran. Rikuo and Yuki also had to split up and catch them back. While Yuki was caught off guard, a subordinate of the Gyuki family jumped down from the tree and stabbed her. Yuki promptly dodged to the side. She knew he was from the Gyuki family. You give him a chance to stop, you won't hold him accountable. The guy laughed and walked over and stabbed her in the leg. He was mentally prepared for the consequences. He was about to finish off Yuki with a sword when she froze him. However, she was still knocked a meter away. This guy did not give up and continued to pursue Yuki. She wasn't really okay when Rikuo rushed forward. In human form he was still able to stop his sword and catch Yuki. Rikuo is angry for daring to hurt his subordinates. The Gozo is not afraid to pick up his sword to fight Rikuo.